crafty friends. It is Courtney Brickner, the CB behind the Crafty Brick. My hair is a little bit different today if you've been seeing me with my braids. So I'm still the CB, but I'm back again for episode 3 of our 6-part series, prepping for my very first craft fair. And I've shown you kind of everything that's been going on so far, all the things I've been making to get ready for my craft fair that's in 3 weeks. And you can see behind me, I have figured out the display of my hats for the table, and I think it's really cute. Last week you saw that I was having trouble, let's see which hat, one of them was actually fixed. I was having trouble with the hat display that I made. I figured out that instead of the bowl on top, this foam circle works perfectly. So it stays right where it's supposed to. The one with the bowl before it was just sliding down. So I figured out the solution to that problem. The necklace one, I still haven't really messed with yet, but I know I'm gonna figure that out, so I'm not really concerned. Today, first, I feel like I should go back to the beginning, something that I should have shared in the very first video, because it might be a little bit confusing, the mirrored mindset. So if you are new to my channel, you might not have seen that I created a brand called Mirrored Mindset. So it is under the umbrella of the Crafty Brick. So that's why everything that you're seeing has the MM logo on it. Mirrored Mindset is my apparel and jewelry line that I started last year. And basically what it is, you've got an affirmation and the word is written backwards instead of the regular way. So when people see it, they might not know what it is. It looks kind of like, a jumbled, like right here. It looks like a kind of a jumbled puzzle because it's written in reverse and it's in cursive. But when you look in the mirror, you can actually see exactly what it says, and it's written in the right way because it's for you. It's a message for you. It's an affirmation that you wear. So when you look in the mirror, you see your truth. So be who you see. So that is the concept behind Mirrored Mindset. So everything that I'm going to be selling will be the Mirrored Mindset brand. I've got hats and jewelry and sweatshirts as well as t-shirts. So those are the things I'm going to be selling in the booth. So that's why the booth doesn't say the Crafty Brick. It's Mirrored Mindset by the Crafty Brick. So I'm very sorry if that was a little bit confusing. I should have shared that in the very first video, but I didn't. But now I'm sharing it now. So now we're all on the same page of what it is. So even on the thing that I'm making today, my logo for the tablecloth, it actually says Mirrored Mindset by the Crafty Brick. And the business cards say that as well. So hopefully it will be less confusing if people know me as just the Crafty Brick. So it's just a brand that was created by the Crafty Brick. Today, what I'm going to be sharing with you is a checkout stand that I made using some items from Michael's, those wooden crates from Michael's. And I DIY'd the top, so I will share that process. I did a logo, a really large logo using 20-inch vinyl with Romeo to put on my tablecloth. And what else did I make today? I stained the hat stands. Those are crates from Michael's. So I'm just gonna walk through some of that today. Next week, we're gonna be putting it all together. So I'm gonna do a mock setup of my booth in the backyard just so I can see how it looks prior to going to the event and just like seeing it for the very first time there. I kind of don't want to do that. So I'm going to set everything up next week and we're going to see if I've got everything I need, if there's something else I need to buy. So that's why I want to do it 2 weeks out. So just in case I need something else, I'll have time to make it or purchase it and go from there. So today we've got some more projects for the booth and I'm very excited to share them with you. If you are liking this series so far, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification so that you don't miss any of the next 3 episodes. I'm going to be sharing everything behind the scenes and the day of. I will show you what my booth looks like and how I do that day. I'm really, really, really hoping and praying that I actually make some sales so that I can share some good news with you at the end of this. But even if it's not good news, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share everything. So make sure that you're subscribed and turn the notifications so that you don't miss any of it. But let's get started. First up, we're going to be using our Romeo cutting machine, which is a 24-inch cutter. And we're going to use this because I'm making a really large sign. We're actually using 20-inch vinyl from Atlanta Vinyl. They sell Caesar Easy Weed that's 20 inches long, which is just what I needed for this project. So first I did a test cut, and since I'm using no mat, I need to make sure my pinch rollers are touching every single spot on my vinyl, and this is important because I only have 2 pieces. I ended up getting 2 just in case, so I did a little area test just to make sure I had enough material and it was going to cut the right way. There was a little bit of puckering here, so that means my rollers are not set up quite right. So I went ahead and took that out, made sure all of the rollers were touching the black grip rollers on the bottom in the correct spot. They need to be touching in some area. And then I pulled the material back through to make sure that all of the rollers are touching all across the material so that it doesn't pucker up when I slide it through. So then I'm gonna do one more area test and make sure everything is good. So the area test gives you the outline of the entire cut so you can just make sure that it's gonna cut properly. So it pulls it out, pulls it back, and now we're good. There's no puckering this time, so that means I am ready to cut. So I love that I can cut without a mat with this machine. It worked out great. I really was seriously fingers crossed because I did not want to mess up. I only had 2 times. I ended up getting extra material, but I had 2 rolls that were 20 inches by 5 feet. So I didn't have a whole lot of room for error. So then I also purchased the black because my logo was going to be red and black. So I did the same thing. I did an area test with this one as well, but I didn't record that. So then we're ready to just get these going after they get cut. After I finished cutting both of the colors that I needed, I went ahead and weeded them. I'm telling you, this material is just so easy to weed. I love working with Caesar Easy Weed. It's really my HTV of choice. And we're going to be, the fact that this is so large and I was able to cut this with my machine, it just makes me so happy. That's why I love having Romeo and Juliet. Since Juliet does all of my smaller projects, it's nice to have Romeo that can do those 24-inch cuts. That, like I said, I think this design is 36 inches by 19, if I'm correct, if I remember accurately. Next up, I needed to get the placement correct on the tablecloth. This is not the actual table that I'm using, but it's a similar size, so I thought it might work just to get the measurement. So I'm just trying to measure 3 inches down from the top, and I'm hoping that it's going to stay in place. To be honest, I don't really know. It is sticking. There is a little adhesive to the back of this carrier sheet, so it's staying in place. But I thought, get the measurements right, tape it on, and hopefully it will stay where it needs to be. And wouldn't you know it, after I did all of that meticulous measuring and taping, it fell off when I carried it into the other room and balled up. Of course, all of that time I spent trying to get it perfect, it was messed up. So whatever. I just decided I would just place it on my press, try to get the middle. Luckily, there was a line that I could measure from, and the seam on the top was what I used for my reference point. So fingers crossed, this is going to work and not shift when I press it. So luckily, I'm using a 16 by 24 inch press, so it's pretty wide. I still needed to do 2 presses because my design is so big. So I had to make sure it got the top and the bottom and the right and the left side. The tape, I do believe, helped it stay in place because I just wanted to make sure that it didn't shift. But everything was going according to plan so far. I was very happy with the press. I only did it a few seconds. I needed to just tack it into place because I knew I was going to be pressing the black on as well. So then I got the mirrored mindset lined up. I decided to cut it because it didn't fit all the way across, so I was just gonna do it in 2 sections. I covered it with a little non-stick sheet so that I could protect the red spot, and then I ironed on the other side, the mindset side, and it was working out well. I was like, I think I got this project just going pretty smoothly. And then I took the bottom. I was gonna do the crafty brick and the mirrored mindset all with one, but I only got 1 black piece of that one, so I had 0 room for error, so it was going to take up less vinyl if I just did it separately, so that was the reason for that. And y'all, Look how good it turned out. So this is gonna be on my table. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. Next on deck is these wooden crates from Michaels. Initially, I thought, oh, I'm going to get the white ones because I really did not want to stain these. I swear, this is like a tedious staining project. I had zero desire, but I kept on going because those white ones, they looked so jacked up at the store and I didn't really feel like doing anything with them either. I started and then I was like, I'm not going to do the inside. Then I did the inside. I'm like, I'm not doing all these slats. And then I did the slats. I just didn't like the way it looked without them being done. It didn't have to be perfect because really no one was going to see all that, but I just didn't like looking at the unfinished product on the inside. So I just kept going. And then after that, I went ahead and stained the crates that the hats were going to be sitting on so that I could have a little bit of height on my table. So inside and outside of those as well. Next up, I decided I didn't want a permanent solution, so I didn't use screws. I thought I could use heavy-duty Velcro and get these crates stuck in place so that it would be easy to take them apart when I was finished using it. So obviously, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be the solution, but I thought I'm definitely going to try it. So this is really heavy-duty Velcro. I stuck it on and rolled it with the brayer, and I think we're going to be good to go. Next up, it needed a topper. So I got 21-inch 1x4s that I had left over from another project. And then I measured 5/8 inch from each side because that was going to be perfectly fitting on the top of the crates. So I measured that for each one so that I could get a straight line going across. And then I took a little 3/4 inch piece of trim and I measured it 9 1/8 inches so that I could cut that, and that was going to be the side pieces. I cut 2 pieces and got those ready to go. And then I've lined them up with the back of the tray where it was gonna be. And then I also got another piece. And to be honest, I didn't like the way this worked out. So I'm not even going to show you that measurement because it really didn't look very good in the end. So I nailed those in and then got one more piece of that 3/4 inch trim that was 18 inches long and nailed that in as well. I didn't really like the way these corners looked. I should have finished them a little bit better, made it longer. I had it on the inside of those side pieces and it just wasn't my favorite look. So I decided to take off that front trim piece and replace it with a 1.5 inch by 3/4 inch piece of trim. So that was going to be much better. Measured it out and cut it 19.5 inches and then went ahead and glued that in place and nailed it and attached it to the 2 side pieces. I think this looks like a much better finished look and I just liked it a lot more than the first one. So it fit perfectly on top of the crate. If you want to build it yourself and you want the measurements, just check the description. I put them all there. Then I was irritated with the stain job that I did, so I just figured I would just fill in a few of those spots that were still that you could see, because obviously I didn't do a perfect job before. Did that, worked out perfectly, sanded up the top, and then went ahead and painted it white. I was debating between staining it or painting it a cream color like some of the other things, but I thought the white ended up looking good. It was a good contrast to the brown, and I really, really, really like the way this turned out. There's some storage in the back, and I think it looks really cute. All right, so when I'm finished with it, just take the top off. Velcro's still on there, take that one off. This one. And the lid fits inside here with it. And then I'm ready to store it. I'm so excited. It turned out so cute. Yay. Next up, we're going back to putting the finishing touches on my spin wheel. I started to weed it and these little letters and percentage signs were not working out. So I was like, okay, I need to do reverse weeding. So I put on my transfer paper, pressed that on, and then took the backing off and then started to take off the vinyl. Because I decided I would just use vinyl. I think that's going to work out fine. But the annoying part is the percentage signs still came off anyway. So I had to preserve that vinyl sheet afterwards. So when I finished, I could go back and put the percentage sign on. That little line was just too long. I thought the reverse weeding would pick it up, but it still did not work. So I decided to weed these. I'm going to put all these on the wheel. I decided to do that instead of, the magnet or the paper clip. I just thought this would look the cutest. So here we go. I'm going to apply them all. I decided to go with 4 bracelet spots. So there are 4 chances to win one of the free bracelets, which I will be showing you in a couple weeks. There's 1 spot for try again, 4 for 10% off, 2 for 15% off, and then there's 1 spot for 20% off. So this is going to be sitting at the front of my booth. It's going to sit on top of the stand that I just made because I decided I didn't want the stand for the checkout stand anymore. I wanted to just have this at the very front. So people can walk by and I can tell them, hey, spin to win. I think I'm going to make a sign to also put on the stand that just says spin to win. These were so annoying. I should have just used a different font for creating these percentage signs because the line is so little. So I had to take each one off individually and place it on. But it all worked out. I think the vinyl is a great solution for this. I think it looks really cute. So I'm very happy with the way this project ended up. Seriously, how cute is this? I can't wait to have people spinning it. It's going to be so fun. Okie dokie. Now we got to go back and fix those hat stands that were not working out. Remember I had little bowls on top of these candlestick holders initially, but they were just falling down. That did not work at all. So I still have the candlestick holders. I got some little foam circles from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to go ahead, add a little glue here. Probably could have added some hot glue as well. It would have made it stick a little faster, but I don't know. I just did this, added some glue, stuck it on, and it actually worked. So I'm very, very happy. I pushed it down a little bit, like into the styrofoam, just to make it a little bit more secure. And I might end up going back and just adding some hot glue as well. I'm not going to paint them or anything. I'm just going to leave the bottoms black and the top styrofoam. It works really well. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see it anyway. The hats are not for sale. These are all display items. So I think leaving it as the styrofoam is going to be perfectly fine for my booth. Now the real test. Does it work? Do my hat stay steady? Oh yeah, look how good it's looking. I am so excited. I'm so excited about all these projects. Yay! I knew if I just stayed at it, I was gonna figure it out. So here we have logo for the table. This isn't the actual table. These are just my workbenches up in my office. So I think it's gonna look great when it gets on the actual table. Here is the stand. Initially, I thought it was going to be a checkout stand, but I think this is going to be at the front of my booth, and this is what my wheel will sit on. So people will spin that. I'm going to put a sign here that says spin to win, so they can actually win the bracelets, which I actually haven't shown you yet, but I will show you. And the bracelets will be in a basket sitting in the crate behind it. So I think this is going to be the front of my booth. I have another idea for my checkout stand, so I'll share that. And then here are the hats. I love, love, love this black and gold version. I think those are really cool. So we've got the black and gold and then the brown leather. And lots of different hat styles. So like I said before, I'm not going to be selling these actually at the booth. These will just be on display so everyone can see the color options and just what the words would look like. So they can choose the words that they want, and then I will fill the orders. So that's what we got today, friends. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Next week, I'm going to be sharing the entire setup process. I'm going to just do like a mock fair so I can see if I have everything I need. So you're going to be able to see exactly what the booth looks like, and we're going to go from there. So I hope you'll join me. Until then, stay crafty, my friends.